Talk about the worst outro in history of all podcasts. That is a very bad intro. Hey, everyone, $1 Million Agent. We've kept the last one being the best one. And I've got to say, Troy and John, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've got to tell you, I'm overcompensating now. That was a very, very bad start to our last podcast of the year. You want to have a laugh? I was having a conversation with an agent this morning at a Grasshopper Cafe. He says, mate, I listen to your podcast every week. I said, that's impossible because we don't record every week.
But next year, stand by.
Next year, it's really funny, John, because I was sitting down on a whiteboard and I was thinking to myself, what are some of my big things that I want 2023? And I look at it and I look at all the podcasts that people listen to and I look at the value people say, sometimes we just binge on it from start to finish. Troy and John, next year, I want to make $1 Million Agent. It'll still have its informal flow of conversations. It won't be too sterile, but I'm absolutely committed to taking the podcast to the next level because I actually think it can actually have the biggest impact to the Australian and New Zealand agents because for many people, they don't have the resources to go off and pay for a lot of training. And a podcast is their source of education for many of them.
If we can't find a better one, do you reckon the Grasshopper Cafe would sponsor us next year, like a cappuccino a week or something?
Beggars can't be choosers. I think we'll start with them before we start with Macquarie Bank, right?
Exactly.
Having said that, if Macquarie's listening.
Now, I've got some business to attend to before we start, because this is going to be an interesting one. I think we're going to talk about what did we learn, observe, what were our insights here. So I don't want to spoil that thunder, but a lot of people have asked me, about mastery, which was a really successful year. So I think we're going to do that again. And we're looking for a way to keep our existing alumni going. But a lot of people have asked me about your gym, Tommy, and they say to me, is there any spots? And I say, I don't know, I'm not involved. That's Tom and Susan's gig, not mine. But is there any, is it closed and how do people get involved?
So firstly, so people know, we don't have the gym open. Like anyone that follows me knows that it opens up 2 times a year. It opens up mid-financial year when we know people can get a tax break if they buy before the end of June. And then also for the start of 2023. So it is open now and it's closing on the 16th of December. And I'm pretty pumped and excited because next year, apart from doing our prospecting blitzes, we're also introducing Script School, an environment where people are given scripts, then they can role play, rehearse, drill, practice, as well as all the other stuff that gym members are there for. So in essence,
so I'm going to encourage you to do a little bit more of an advertorial there because a lot of people have heard about it, but they don't actually know what the gym is. Is it online? Is it face-to-face? Is it once a year? Is it for a month? Just describe a high level summary of what the real estate gym is.
Okay. So it's an app, both on Android and on iPhone. And then of course, it's the desktop version. Every morning, people receive an email that's relevant and timely to content that matters to people. They get that every morning, 6 days a week. We miss out 1 day a week. In addition to that, we have a Prospecting Blitz every Tuesday at 11 o'clock where agents come online. In addition to that, there's a part of Real Estate Gym, and I'll just bring this up here now on my phone. And it's our prospecting. So there it is there. There's a timer.
So you actually kind of do it as a virtual group, do you?
Yeah, we do it as a virtual group. We're all on Zoom together. But in addition to that, that's every Tuesday. In addition to that, a lot of the agents are using this part of the app, which is they run 3 45-minute, maybe 2 45-minute call sessions. They then put in the calls, the connections, the appointments that they have. And
so they can see each other, because I haven't attended it, obviously. They can see each other but can't hear each other, but they can see each other on the phone, making calls. So you're creating a community, which is a great idea, because I find one of the greatest challenges in this business, Troy, is you get a bit lonely. Even if you're in a team, sometimes, the boss says, or you say to yourself, I've got to do an hour's worth of prospecting. you look around, there's no one else doing it there, and you think, oh, maybe I'll just give it up this week because there's a bit of discomfort in it. So I love that idea of a virtual huddle of people getting together and seeing each other on the phone. That's awesome. That's awesome.
You get inspired off the energy of others as well. And even though you're not hearing them, just seeing them virtually on the phone and making calls and dialing and seeing them engage, it does make a big difference. John, we see it every day in our offices when we're seeing agents walking around, the energy, the meetings they have. It's fantastic to see everyone back in the office. So you can create that virtually and create a community around it.
So Troy, you do group exercise. People do group meditation. People can do yoga at home, yet they still choose to go to a yoga class. People could sit down and watch Arik virtually, but they still have this different energy of being in a room with people that have got a common goal. And I think there's no difference with prospecting. I think people should actually try. If you made your office an hour of power every morning, everyone just said, you know what, between 9 and 10, we're not on social media, we're not on our inbox, we're not having water cooler chat. Everyone from 9 to 10 pumps out 1 hour of phone calls or whatever it is. You'll be very surprised that even the slack one will feel guilty because they'll be looking at the others and they're saying, I'm letting the team down here. I'm the one that's the outcast here. I'm actually not operating in the culture that they've set. So that's why we have these prospecting blitzes. But, you know, look,
tell me, with the gym, how do they join? They go to the website. What do they do?
Realestategym.com.au till the 16th of December, and it works out being about $2 a day. So,
I think it was. You'll probably remember, Tommy. I think it was Matt Steinwade said, and I know he's very generous and he likes you and me and Troy and all that sort of stuff, but he said that's one of the greatest investments ever. Anyone that doesn't do this is insane. I think that was about the gym, wasn't it? He was talking about.
He was. That was
about a year or two ago. And that's coming from the GOAT. I reckon if you look at everything, I know Alex Jordan is extraordinary at the moment. I know Josh Cheslin's sitting out of the ballpark and et cetera. But I reckon if you look at the last 10 years, we should do this one day. And Tostevin, I think James Tostevin certainly has held the mantle for a long time. But I reckon if you looked at the last rolling decade, you'd have to say Matt Steinwade would be Australia's greatest of all time for that period, I reckon.
Yeah, so I'd say it's funny you're saying this because I was having a conversation with someone and I was explaining to them that don't expect that you're going to have 50 great years in a row in real estate. And he said to me, who has been smashing real estate? He said, you've been in it for 35 years. He says, I've heard you say 35 years. Who has been a practicing real estate agent for 35 years that has been doing very well? I've got to tell you, there's not that many. Like
Tostevin.
Yeah, well, Matt Steinwade, Tostevin, Marcus Chiminello to a certain degree, last 2 decades. Michael Pallier, I would say.
Yeah, Pallier wouldn't be that long. He'd be 20-something.
20?
But yeah, definitely one of the great agents. Craig Ponte, who I think you're going to be interviewing soon, Tony. Craig
Ponte. Well, there you go. Craig Ponte. Might have been having this conversation with you, John. Craig Ponte and Michael Finger. They're both. If you look at their records, they're quite extraordinary.
Steinwade would have to be. Steinwade, when he just keeps reinventing himself and the stuff he does in real estate, out of real estate, the energy every day that he's got is really inspiring. Really inspiring because he's in the spotlight. Everyone's watching him. Yep. And the number of people that watch that 31 minute or get involved with it have read the book. So really good. Troy, I'm just watching while we're speaking.
I got it right next to it. Like this book here, you know, sometimes I pick it up. It's a very easy read. Very easy. Yeah. I've just had a look here. Oh, look, that's interesting. I've opened up to a page. My daily routine. Morning, 5 a.m. wake up, 5:40 breathing exercises, 5:50 cold shower, 6 a.m. 31 minutes cardio, 7 kids ready. I mean, I tell you what, I'm looking at this whole day. Looks a bit like a prison, but he loves a structure. He loves a structure.
No, but that's the beautiful thing about Matty is those that, and you guys know him as well as I do, like a dear friend. He's actually, yes, he's disciplined, yes, he's structured, but he's just got a fun life, man. Like up until fairly recently, he was surfing every day, often twice a day, and he's chosen to drop back because he's kind of increased his time at the gym, so he's got a different slant. But interesting, Troy, World Cup is on. Are you actually trying to look like Cristiano Ronaldo, or has it just happened naturally?
Wow.
Like, you've changed your hairstyle, you've done something.
I haven't changed my hairstyle at all. It's grey. It's grey. It's got a haircut last week. It's been my hairstyle for the last 5 years.
You're looking more like Cristiano Ronaldo than Cristiano Ronaldo.
I take that as a compliment, I guess. But anyway,
Ronaldo's in the studio. Troisy, Ronaldo's 37 years of age, for the record.
He is, with the same age. Yeah, with the same age. I mean,
Same age.
He's turning 38. I think he's just about to turn 38, or he just has turned 38.
Hey, I just sent you guys something. Did you get that Stephen Curry TikTok thing I sent you?
Yeah, Steph
I
Curry.
haven't played it.
We got five shots in from the baseline of the court in the net. He
hurls the board. Anyway, anyone listening to this, please go onto TikTok. Follow Tommy's account because it's a bloody beauty. B is have a look at Stephen Curry, spelt like Stephen, on TikTok. He throws 5 full length, throws them like that and gets 5 in a row from one end of the court to the other. It just now, why do I show? Other than the fact it's just fascinating to see an elite athlete. When we talk about real estate, I've got to tell you, as you always said, Tommy, there's only a few objections you got to master. There's only a few skills you got to get. An hour a day prospecting will put you in the top 0.1% of the planet. So you got Stephen Curry, who's found a way to create such a mastery on what he does. He can hurl a basketball. I don't know what it is, throw 50 meters or 40 meters or something, and get it in 5 times in a row. It is actually very achievable for people on this call. Just making this relevant. It's very easy. No, what's easy? It's very achievable for you to become if you're not $1 million agent, becoming $1 million agent is only a matter of a few different decisions and tweaks. If you're $1 million agent, getting to 2, 3, or 5, same thing. So anyway, let's see if today's ideas, and I'm going to kick off because I've got 4 things that I jotted down when we decided to do this little summary for the year. And here are the things that I reckon I found out. I'm going to start with a quote by the great Warren Buffett. And he said, we're all going to find out who's been swimming naked when the tide goes out. The tide went out this year. We found agents that were overpricing, that weren't managing expectations, that weren't committed to a process like auction, that weren't great marketers, that weren't expert negotiators. Those people, and that's everything from order takers to amateurs, because, you can be an amateur and just haven't done skills, or you could be an order taker, even worse, and you were just handing out brochures and passing on offers to the vendor. So what we do, so what does that mean? That's my observation. That means that if you get to a point like Matt Steinwede, where you master everything you're doing, your prospecting is done with deliberate, proactive, disciplined consistency. You turn up to listings with a 9 out of 10 or better listing presentation. You launch a property like it's a brand new perfume onto the market. You manage vendor expectations and have everybody saying to you, what do you think I should do? Where should I put the reserve? Should I take the offer or should I hold off? You tell me what to do. That's where I want everyone. So that's number one so then, because by the way, I think the market this time next Christmas will be kind of back to a more positive state, but it doesn't really matter. As Matt Steinwede said, I don't want any external factors to have any ability to impact or retard my life. So I just decided to get really good at the things that I had to get good at. That's number one. Number two, social media. When Jason Adcock spoke at ARIC last year, and he said, I did 5.6 million last year, 75% of my listing inquiries came off my social media plan, and 50% of my buyer inquiries didn't come from REA, didn't come from Domain, came from social media. And he said every single property, I think he was doing, I'm going to say $2,000 to $3,000 campaign on everything on social media. So social media, I think, shifted this year from an interesting complementary activity that you should check out to, I think, a differentiator and a game changer. So I reckon now social media is no longer an option. You have to be putting it in every campaign. You've got to be really embracing it. If I'm going to shout out to Bailey, what's Bailey's last name? 23rd Street. Anyway, Bailey at 23rd Street. Dear friend of ours. What is it?
Robinson.
Oh, yeah, that's it, Bailey Robinson. Look up 23rd Street. He's not a sponsor because we don't have any sponsor. But he's a great young guy. He's sharp as a tack, and he's doing Alex Jordan's social media, and AJ says he's one of his secret weapons. Not so secret anymore. Number three, property technology. and we saw it ramping up. I just think property technology, everyone's realized that this is still, even in 2022, going into 2023, still a very manual industry. There's a lot of double handling. Realtair, friends of ours, we love Realtair. CoreLogic, we love CoreLogic. These are businesses that I think you've got to realize again that we have to stop doing anything manual, doing it over. We've got to find ways of utilizing this technology that exists out there. Go and meet them, come to ARIC, go to the Trade Expo, tell people to come into your office and present to you what they do. Give Pete Matthews a call and say, Pete, I've heard about this Realtair thing, not quite sure how it works. Can you come and see me? Call Dirk J. Miller. These are all people should be damn sponsors of our podcast, but they're not. Call Dirk J. Miller of CoreLogic and say, yeah. But all the good thing. Call Frank from Campaign Track.
Johnny, while you're talking about tech, because we've got video as well as audio, I want to make it nice and easy for all our listeners and viewers. I'm going to just press this button up here, John. This here is a very simple one-pager, $1 million mindset on digital and social. And what I've done is I've picked, instead of going for cutting edge, instead of going for bleeding edge, which does happen in technology, you can spend a fortune because you get sold by a great digital salesperson. Some of these digital salespeople are good. Things that, John, that I think have been trending from a tech perspective, property tech, digital intros, digital updates, signing on glass, VPA finance platforms, artificial intelligence, whether you're using, things like Reader, text applications, seamless reviews, right? And there's a few of the others. If people want to take a quick snapshot on their phone and have that, share like comments on social media, retargeting.
Funny, Tommy, you say they're sign on glass, which is, I think that's what Pete Matthews calls his Realtair product. Sign, or it's one of them anyway. Check out Realtair and Pete's good guy. He's a good guy. Blake Williams, fantastic guy. Anyway, sign on glass. I was talking to an agent, one of our guys the other day, very good agent. Forgotten who it is, Troy, but it was a good agent and doing quite a volume. And he said, I've just got to go and get a contract exchange. You've got to drive out to Richmond. And I said, why don't you just DocuSign it or put it through Realtair? Oh, I kind of haven't quite mastered that. So I just do things the old way. And I'm thinking, man, getting in a car, driving 30 kilometers, getting out, spending 2 or 3 hours along the way, polluting the planet, all that kind of stuff, printing out from a photocopy or contract. This day and age, when you just bang, send it, they click, sign, it goes to the solicitor. Man, it feels like really old now. So please, we use, what do we use? We use Agent Box, we use CoreLogic, we use Realtair.
A bit of Reader,
we use a bit of Reader, which is now owned by CoreLogic. So anyway, they're people that should be paying for these plugs. Last one. No, we should have some of those as sponsors next year, really, because they're good product. I would never sponsor anything, by the way. Not that we have any options to say no at the moment. I would never sponsor anything unless I really believed in it. I know you feel the same, Tommy, that right. You can't kind of wax lyrical about something you actually don't believe in. So I'd actually rather give free plugs to people we love than have someone that we don't love pay for it. The last one was flight to quality. So I want agents to remember this. The market in many areas has come back 5, 10, up to 20%. Most of the really good, and I actually had a meeting with Craig Ponty this morning in the city. We were talking to a client and we were just talking about this. And I said, Craig, a great property on the waterfront, Rose Bay, Vaucluse, 12, 18 months ago. What do you reckon it's come down? He said, John, hasn't come down. He said the really good properties are still fetching the same as they fetched a year or year and a half ago. He said just there's demand for quality, there's a shortage of quality, and all the money wants to find the best quality. So I just thought, so what does that mean going forward? As a general philosophy in life, I think flight to quality, always go quality clothes, quality cars, quality real estate, quality shares, always look for quality no matter what you're doing. Number 2 is, when you're selling a good quality property and you're trying to defend the price, I got to tell you, you got to have confidence, man. When something is quality location, prime location is always going to be prime as long as you own it, forever until you own it. It's always going to be a waterfront, or it's always going to have a view of the city if it will. It's always going to be in Paddington Street or whatever constitutes property in your world. So social media shifting up. It's no longer an option. Got to get in. Don't be, next time the market changes, don't be the guy that's swimming naked, the girl swimming naked. Just master everything. So irrespective of what the market's doing, you're on top of it. Property technology, reach out, speak to the best suppliers out there and find out how next year you can utilize their services and technology. And just remember that quality is always quality. Tommy, over to you.
Listen, you've covered, John, I think that's a pretty comprehensive coverage. I'll just add, text messaging now is non-negotiable. It is not the agent that pulls out their mobile phone and types away a text message. What agents have got very sophisticated with text messages, and I'll give everyone a big tip. Your 4 most common text messages, you type them out on notes on your phone. Then all you do is you go to notes every time you're sending a text and you can copy and paste, bang, copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. Most of the CRM systems these days, Agent Box, they've got that functionality. Most of them have got that functionality. So texting, and guys, you get a text message, it has more impact than an email to you. It's not as good as a phone call, but I've got to tell you, it gives you scale and leverage.
I reckon sometimes it's better than a phone call because everyone's busy today. Often, you miss a call and you don't get time to ring it back. Or if someone sends you a text, you look at it in your own time. It's there as a record. It's a reminder. And Josh Teslin, who is one of the great agents and the emerging superstars of real estate for sure. Josh is a prolific texter. So very good. Number two.
Number two, I would say, without a doubt, during the lockdowns, these auctions that were done online got a lot of favoritism from people because that was the only way to do them. So they wanted to continue to transact. When things opened up, people started enjoying watching an auction live on video, even though the serious bidders seemed to want to go there and bid. So what's a good middle scenario? Man, send out a text message on a Friday with your Facebook link and say, watch our auction live tomorrow at 12 o'clock. Of course, you can use things like, the platforms like Realtor, their auction platform, they've got that ability, but a lot of real estate agents are using social media, and you make sure you send a very good video, a very good auction. Obviously, the better the auction, the better it is for you. I would probably say that would be a thing that I reflect on what's been really hot this year. And the other thing that's been hot, I think, is these targeting, Amit from your Parramatta office. This to me was a game changer. How on earth you could do 8 vendor meetings in 2 hours, he mastered it. On a Tuesday between 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, 15-minute meetings on Calendly set up by Zoom. He does 4 in the first hour, 4 in the second hour. That's 8 vendor meetings. No driving to see a vendor. Share the screen to go over the report and the statistics. Straight into it. Finish the meeting, onto the next meeting. He taught us how to become very efficient and very effective doing vendor meetings in a marketplace that is dying for more service levels. So I would say that would be a big one.
Very good, Troy.
I've only got a few to add. Finish it strong. Hey, 2022, what a year. Feels like the start of the year when we had our first Mastery event was only yesterday, but I know we've been on such a journey, both with Mastery, ARIC, MDA. It's been so much fun. The good thing is that the one, and probably the most important one, is the changing environment that we've seen over the past 12 months and over the past 2 years. Well, that's here to stay. And I think the very best have taken that changing environment and they've realized the deeper relationships they have, the better the outcome. The deeper relationships with their buyers, the more opportunity that creates, the deeper relationships with their pipeline sellers, the deeper relationships with their community, but also their colleagues, the very best have nailed that part, I reckon, over the past 12 months. The second one that I've noticed is that, John, and we've said this multiple times throughout our training and Tom over the years, but it only takes a moment to create a moment. And those that are creating moments in the market right now, they're doing everything right. Some of the things that you both spoke about, again, they're coming out in front. And so the ones that are listening to this, I would say, what are you doing to stand out in your market right now? What are you doing to differentiate yourself? What are you doing to out-enthuse the competition? And what are you doing to make every single person you interact with feel special? And then the final one is, and I guess it probably rings true to the last couple of points, is passion is everything. Those that are passionate about this industry, regardless of the ups and downs, the cycles we're going in, the speed bumps along the way, their passion's going to come through and they're going to continue to be successful for many years to come. So they're my kind of highlights. And that's my big thinking over the past.
You've got to love serving people, right? That's your last
100%.
point. Don't see this as a job. Yes, you can earn a lot of money. Yes, it's a great career, but unless you really love, and I know we do, and I know Matty Steinwade does, and I know Amit does, and Craig Ponte. I mean, Shane Smolin was saying this the other day. We had a Zoom call with Craig and Michael, and Craig would be 60 something, not old, but maybe, I don't know, 62 or 63 or something, and Mike's similar, maybe a year or two older. And Shane just said after to me, he texted me and he said, "Wouldn't you love to bottle the enthusiasm of those guys and inject it into some of the 20-something and 30-something-year-olds?" They are just passionate. And again, please watch out, because I know, Tommy, I think you're going to interview them at some point on your gym or wherever, because I've learned a lot from joining forces with them for only a few short weeks.
Yeah,
learn a lot. The other thing, Troy, is you said something, I think it was your first point. I love it. I'm going to say, or rebrief it slightly differently. One of the core skills in the world right here and now is your ability to adapt to change. Once upon a time, as long as you're a good lister, a good seller, a good prospector, the game was over. Now you've also got to be a good social media person. You've got to be a good technology person, but you've also got to be able to adapt quickly, because things are changing. So if you said, I register people manually, or I don't sign on glass and all that stuff, I've got to tell you, at some point your days are numbered, because the smarter agents are adapting to that. They're doing things faster, sharper, smarter, better presented. So I really think that a skill is the ability to pivot on a dime.
Look how fast Amit is. I can't work out how he did this. So we've just been talking about him. All of a sudden on Insta story, someone's taken that on Insta story, posted it up, and he's replied, how Amit manages 8 vendor meetings in an hour. He's replied, "Thanks you so much for the mention." Talk about the change in what happens. Talk about the speed of things now.
Well, real time, that's true. Real time is now fast becoming the default time. If you think you can get a listing appointment or a listing inquiry at 8 o'clock and ring them back at 3, I'm going to tell you, someone like Amit has got him back in touch with them straight away, and they're on the Zoom and they're on FaceTime, and it's really interesting. So it's good to know that at least one person is watching. Amit, say shout out to Amit, 200 plus sales a year. Amit, Ritesh, great team of people. What a pleasure they are to work with. I think this is our last, but if we get the inspiration, we might throw in another random one without any expectation between now and Christmas. But I just thought, a lot of people are sort of starting to go off and they're just finishing their year and they're a bit hectic. So we're going to officially make this our last MDA podcast for this year. Next year, we're going to come back bigger, better, stronger, more consistent than ever before. And we're going to have a few tricks up our sleeve. Might even fluke a sponsor, who knows? We've only been trying 6 years, Troy, to get a sponsor. So it's got to be a Grasshopper Cafe.
It's our year.
Well, I reckon I'm going to start with a game I can't lose. Grasshopper Cafe, 1 cappuccino a week. I reckon they'll say yes. And that'll be our first. That'll be a $10 a week.
Maybe, John, that's the benchmark, and we can build from there. So if there's another sponsor that wants to up the 1 cup of coffee a week.
That's right. Tringali might come up with another cap.
Create an auction environment. Why not?
All right.
Paul Signorelli might throw in one down at Beardy Park there. Anyway, it's been good fun. Tommy, thank you for all. And Susan, who's in the background somewhere.
Thank you, Susan.
Just wanted to thank Susan for, she does a great job with you and your team and the gym and everything. So
unbelievable at Mastery, the support we got from Susan.
Yeah, so we've got another session. We've got a Zoom session with our Mastery people in the next 48 hours. So we're both going to, both groups, meaning me and you two, are going to work out how to deliver and finish our year with Mastery well to all our viewers and to all our listeners, mainly listeners. Most of it's audio. thank you again. We wish you and your families and your close friends all the best in health. It's been, listen, I've got to tell you, a healthy year is a good year for anyone, because we know if your health is there, you're in the game, So Troy, thank you so much. Troy, it's great to having you back. As soon as you came back, the frequency of these podcasts improved, and so did the visual aesthetics.
Thank you.
John, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
You're the greatest thought leader in the industry. That's undeniable. When we talk about great agents for the last 35, 40 years, we were talking about them. Well, there's no one that's come across as you as the thought leader. The change and impact you've made to the real estate industry, from structures, from VPA to effective business units, to remuneration. We live with the decisions that you made many, many years ago, and they're so special that I actually think it makes Australia ahead of the US and the UK markets.
I think we're doing good. But Team Real Estate, Team Australian Real Estate, and New Zealand, we've got a lot of good Kiwis follow us and come to ARIC and listen to us. Team Australia and New Zealand, I think we do it as well as anyone, Tommy, in the world. So let's keep doing it, but let's not rest on our laurels. I reckon there's so much more we can do. So we'll be contemplating that over the break. We'll be thinking about it, and we'll come back with an absolute flyer out of the blocks, Troy, in the new year. So good luck to Troy Ronaldo in the World Cup.
So you when you get back from Qatar, Troy. Thanks for being.
See you, everybody. Have a good Christmas.
Thank you, Papa.
Everyone, great break.